It's a fake! Oh, no way! And the spike is down. With the spike! They've got the from the shadows. But I don't care, it's your plan. But that's a clear giveaway of what they're going to do. Navi knows they're going for the B side. You already see the rotation. It's an old trick in the boot by this point.
That is the most overcooked thing I've ever seen in my life. Because they also, it's not like taking the site, there's an ultimate from the site from the opposite side that sees, it's pinging these players, they're trying to like run back towards spawn to give an idea.
They're cooking even more, they're going all the way back to the A side, they're wasting a lot of time here.
Why would you do
There's no way that this is how it's lost.
Look,
why not? He's your coach. I know he's just an assistant coach, but you're just in a 4v5. It's the worst round in Valorant. It's the worst round in Valorant. And it's come back to haunt Karmine. No.
So today, we're going to talk about Karmine Corp against Navi because as a game of Valorant, I don't think I've ever wanted one team to win more than I did for Karmine Corp against Navi. And on Ascent, not so much Lotus, but on Ascent, it was actually close. We all were tuning in to see, you know, would Karmine Corp lose 13-0 or would they lose 13-1? But actually, it didn't go that way at all. Karmine Corp did way better than I thought they ever could, to be honest. Considering everything that's been going on with the team and whatnot, they looked like a normal team, which was a big improvement, actually, to how they were playing beforehand. And, you know, this was 13-11, and Navi won both pistols and both bonus rounds. So in the full gun rounds, Karmine kind of destroyed Navi. It was kind of a crazy thing for that to happen, but let's dive in to see how it all unfolded. As we saw from the timeline there, it started off pretty rough for Karmine Corp, and let's dive into some of the early struggles that they were having. And really, you can kind of see it straight away, just from the map. There's something a bit odd here, right, where we've got two players here kind of looking towards B main, but XMS with his killjoy setup on B is all the way back in boathouse to start the round, which is a bit bizarre. And this is kind of how I think Karmine started this game. You know, perhaps not feeling that confident just yet, and you know, we're maybe a bit all over the place. We'll see it with Navera opping here on Omen as well, that, okay, they put a KO knife in here, and they get Scream set up, and initially, you know, Navera's watching that angle, but then he doesn't know what to do, and he thinks about smoking, and he ends up running back, and remember, he has an op, and what he ends up doing is actually running back here, and just smoking off A main, as he decides, okay, I guess I'll come to A main, and then, you know, as we look here, again, we've got Shin here, kind of, you know, watching B main, but XMS is just, you know, out in Narnia, like, you know, just kind of, you know, watching paint dry or whatever, and Scream is all alone here, and well, Angel manages to hit a nice shot and kill Scream, and there is no trade, so we end up in a 5v4, and okay, they actually react to this decently well. I think XMS, you know, kind of does come towards Shin, and they come to decide to take B main, which is a perfectly fine idea. You know, you got the killjoy, so it's still watching mid, but we're gonna get a KO ult here and a fatal coming in from the side of Navi, which obviously makes this very, very difficult for these two players. They can't hear when these guys are actually, you know, coming in behind them there. You know, so it becomes very, very difficult for them. And they actually get a bit unlucky here. Shin is going to hit a 140 on Xiao just there, but, and, you know, unfortunately Xiao is Xiao, and he gets that one. They don't actually check for XMS, though. They think that that is it, but again, Xiao on 10 HP manages to get 2 kills in this round, and pretty much the round was over. So you can still see that you know, early on there was still a bit of disconnect, but they would take a timeout after this round, after they saved, and things would start to change. And to do so, let's come to round number 7. So we're just 2 rounds away from where we were before, but you're going to see in this round, they're going to have more of a plan. They're going to play with confidence as well, as you'll see, and it worked out pretty well for them. So what's going to start off this round? We've got Navera with an op, and he's in mid, right? And straight away, he's going to one-way A main here, but now he's just going to stare down there, right? We saw in the round prior that he seemed a bit unsure about what exactly he was meant to be doing, or, you know, where he was meant to be holding and whatnot. But this time, it seems like a more concrete plan, right? These two are going to watch A main early in the round. We've got a killjoy watching B main, and we got an op in mid, and Shin is here to destroy any utility that comes Navera's way as well. And, you know, it works out decently well for them early on, right? Shin destroys the Prowler just there. There's going to be a KO knife that Shin is going to destroy as well, just there, so Navera doesn't get suppressed here. Obviously, Navi, perhaps a bit suspicious that, you know, you're destroying that utility very aggressively. I wonder why. So they send in an Omen Flash, and they send in a Fade Haunt as well. And so Shin having to retreat from the Omen Flash, the Fade Haunt does reveal Navera, and he has to leave, and he just about escapes with his life. But then he comes and re-swings this angle and is able to find Zipan. I mean, that's just absolutely crazy. And Navera's opping continues to be absolutely crazy. Whilst that's going on, we get a KO knife here in A main that does suppress Suigetsu there. This is obviously, again, a small problem with Navera opping, is that, you know, they kind of aren't able to continuously do that one way. And so after a bit of time, kind of, you know, have to be a bit more passive towards A main, which is a problem. And I do think that, you know, if Navera could ever play Jet, that it might help them. But obviously they'd seen the Cypher towards A main. CNET had just dashed towards this way, so Scream, you know, obviously knowing that there'd been a bit of pressure in mid, hearing the dash come towards short, then decides to activate his own dash window, and he's going to play on this nice little off angle and manage to punish Angel for it, and manage to get away as well. So we're in a 5v3, and you see straight away, right, we've just had a bit more of a solid plan in this round. We're playing with confidence, we're hitting our shots. That was the thing that, you know, wasn't happening in these weeks prior. You know, Scream wasn't hitting that shot last week, but, you know, this time he felt perhaps a bit more free, and he had a much better game, and, you know, they played a lot better as a team as a result. Now, Navi are going to decide to come and do a little B split here in just a second, and really what opens this up is a really nice shot by CNET here just on Shin, who's just jiggle peeking, and then all of a sudden, you're dead. And, well, now we end up in a 3v4, and all of a sudden this site seems quite a bit weaker as Navi come for this B split, and XMS, who did have a good game himself, you know, is all of a sudden under some pressure, right? So Navera gives him this smoke just to, you know, try and delay as much as possible here. And obviously Karmine here, they're worried about any mid lurk still potentially coming in, you know, because they haven't really have anyone or anything defending that space now. But what we're going to get, again, is this little flash over the top here from our coach. And this is something that, again, Karmine Corp just weren't doing, you know, before. This kind of little micro play like this on the fly just wasn't happening before for Karmine. But here it is. And, you know, it works very well, as you'll see, because XMS, the flash pops, he gets a kill. Unfortunately, then a second flash comes in, which actually blinds XMS as well. So Getsu is just kind of chilling back here, and actually does manage to get that kill just there on our coach. But whilst that's going on, XMS manages to kill CNED on the backside as well, and continue his good game. And then we're going to get this trade as well on Sugetsu and win the round. And right there, you know, we saw good things from Karmine, things that they just simply were not doing in previous weeks. But now let's come to Karmine's attack, which is where myself, and I assume a lot of other people, probably expected them to really struggle. And they did do it the first part of the half, but then again, they built into it and actually put together a decent attack side here on Ascent. And ultimately they would just fall short. But let's take a look at round number 19, which, you know, I thought was a round where, you know, it looked like they had some semblance of an idea of what they were doing. It's, again, pretty slow. And maybe some of, like, the roles in terms of what people end up doing is a little bit odd. You're going to see that Scream is out here towards B main. And that's actually going to be kind of a crucial part to this round as it plays out. And yeah, it's a bit weird that your Jet is here, and you'll see that kind of at different points that it seems a bit weird. But they come, and after the one way, they wait it out, they Prowler, and they take the same main control. They send their KO nade into Wine. It doesn't see anyone, so they get the same main control. All is well, all is normal at this point. And now they decide to come back and, you know, decide to come and take towards short as well, and maybe set up to do an A split is kind of what it looks like. We got CNET opping here towards mid, and just with a junk peek in just a second, XMS is actually going to see where CNET is. So they send a knife in there, KO knife, just to check, you know, that no one, particularly because I think they'd been exploited by this angle a bit. No one is in here, I think, but the KO knife reveals that no one is in there. XMS does see CNET with that jump peek just there. So CNET walks back, and you see actually the rotates start to come in from Navi here towards this A site overall, as they expect this to be an A split. This is where it gets a bit weird that, you know, as you're gearing up for this A split, you'd expect your Jet to kind of be here, but Scream is actually lurking towards B main, which would normally kind of be the Killjoy's job. And so you see, like, there's some kind of little oddities to it in Karmine's own way. But they send in an Omen Flash, they push CNED back, and so Zipan feels enough pressure to then pop his KO ult. Now, upon the popping of the KO ult, they decide, you know, fair enough, we can't really do this exec. So instead, though, because Scream is walking in B main and he's going to get this B main control, they decide to come and do a B split instead, which is a perfectly normal idea, but then also leave the KO here to then be a lurk later on in the round, which is a perfectly good, reasonable idea. It's a bit weird maybe how they got there with the Jet kind of lurking in B main, but for where they were in this round, it makes sense. Again, maybe they make a small mistake here that Shin is kind of alone with the spike in mid and they haven't really cleared out this area. Yeah, that is a risk as well. And so again, a bit unconventional, but Scream manages to hit this shot onto CNET here, you know, deep in B main towards spawn. And that really is kind of the signal for them that, you know, now they can start to go in. Shin, you know, again, is still around here on his own with the spike. So this could have still gone bad, and the time, you know, is starting to get pretty low here as well. So it's a classic Karmine round, but the overall idea I don't think was that bad. Shin then also gets caught by the tether from the fade, so the time really starts ticking down, but our Lurk manages to get a kill from the KO here, right? We pick up a free kill as well, so we're in a 3v5. So now really the only danger is, you know, just trying to get this spike down, and they do manage to trade out Sugetsu there, and Navera's good for it on the op as he always is, and they manage to win a round. And so you see, perhaps this wasn't the most conventional round in terms of how a lot of, you know, maybe perfectly played, but in terms of the actual ideas of where the round went, you know, you can see that there's, you know, a general theme that they ended up with the correct round. But then finally, let's come to round 24. And this is the third take of me doing this because I've ended up just rambling for endless minutes about how much I hate this round. Because in this crucial of rounds, Karmine Corp decided to call the worst round in Valorant. And I don't understand how this idea got past even 2020. The fact they made it into 2021 was bad enough. We're in 2023 and still people are running this idea. Still pro teams run this idea, which makes no logical sense. Let's talk about it. So Karmine Corp, they've got a KO ult and an Omen ult, and the idea that they're going to do is, hey, what's a common play with a KO ult? You know, 5-man hit site with KO ult. Right? It's a good idea. it's a perfectly fine idea, and it works a lot of the time. And Navi, perhaps even expecting that idea, they've gone for their trips on the other side of the map to where their Cypher is because they expect that idea, you know, might be coming in. But actually, what's going to happen here is Karmine aren't going to do that. They're going to send the KO in alone to die, drop the spike, so that then they can Omen ult and pick up the spike, and surely everyone's going to rotate, right? Surely everyone, all of Navi, are just going to be in a little rainbow here, just staring at the spike and not doing anything else, right? That's what everyone does when the spike gets dropped, right? Right? Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. And they even botch kind of the initial idea, as you'll see in just a second. So here goes the KO, and they start to go in, and, you know, here goes our inting KO. And, yep, we send in a bit of fade utility as well, and he's going to die, right? And, yep, he's dead. Job done, right? The problem is this KO knife went off and actually suppressed some of these players. So they see the Omen on the other side of the map. So at this point, Navi know, and you see that Zipan and Angel here don't move because they got suppressed. So even if this idea, you know, would have worked initially to get them to rotate a bit, it then doesn't work because they get suppressed and they end up running back. And now the whole point is, you know, when you drop the spike, you want to be like walking in here, you know, ready to actually now get onto the site, you know, like straight away. Problem is they get suppressed. So the whole timing is just lost, right? And you see Angel, he smoked off B main. He like at this point, they know the idea already, right? Which is just another reason why this idea is so bad, because it's actually a common enough idea that teams know what you're doing. Like, fair enough, if no one had ever done this before, yeah, maybe it would confuse them. But teams have probably played against this before, and they know what you're going to do, which makes it an even worse idea. And so what ends up happening is kind of bizarre, because they kind of just end up in a 4v5. Like, yeah, they ult and go and grab the spike back. And, you know, Navi, if we take a look at where they've gone now, you know, they've actually kind of rotated towards B because, again, they know what the idea is meant to be. Then they get Cypher ulted, which, yeah, reveals that they are all here. So, I mean, everything is just lost at this point. You know, everything is just completely lost. CNET even tries to take advantage of it and, you know, walk up mid because he knows that they're all towards B. He actually doesn't manage to find that kill, so he just decides to retreat instead. And we just end up in a 4v5, right? Which, you know, obviously is not a great place to be. And not only is it 4v5, it's a 4v5 where they have no space, and so they have to fade Prowler, you know, all the way back here. and it's just terrible. And they start running and make some noise, but then somehow, miraculously, Shin is going to just stick around because they're going to get Sugetsu seized here, and he's actually going to win that fight. And so, okay, we end back in a 4v4, and XMS here has actually taken this space as well. And so now they decide to pivot back to B. The problem is the time is running low. I mean, in classic Karmine fashion, there's only 35 seconds and they need to rotate, you know, all the way through spawn, all the way through the map. So they continue kind of with this little A-fake pressure and whatnot, and Navi start to, you know, get concerned that, you know, players could really be anywhere. They start to run in towards B main. Zipan, you know, it's the last round. He's all alone. He just pops the ult, maybe hearing a couple footsteps, decides to pop his ult, but he actually dies to XMS there. But he does get this nade down in time, which does stop them. And at the time, I was thinking, just please run through it. Just please just get out and just run through it. Because then a Seize comes in, and there's 10 seconds left now, and Navera's with the spike, and he's, you know, down here towards logs. It's like, oh no, but he manages to Omen TP in, and he's just about going to get the spike down here. And so we end up in a 4v3. And Shin is in a great spot here. And oh my god, this is so painful because Shin just, all he's got to do is just not panic. As long as he doesn't panic, they win. But unfortunately, he misses that shot, and that was really kind of their chance. Scream does manage to kill Angel, but then he's going to get traded by Xiao there. And CNED, obviously hearing the bullets, now turns around. Xiao can see him as well. CNED gets that kill. And we end up in a 2v2 though. Still winnable. Still absolutely winnable for Karmine, but both of their players are a bit low. And, well, CNED is going to basically just win this by smoking off XMS here. He does really well to just smoke him off, expecting that, okay, there was an Omen smoke here before, so anyone playing in Boathouse is going to be towards this side, so he smokes this off to allow him to run down there and isolate these angles on site, you know, where XMS can't trade or whatever. And that's exactly what happens, as Xiao is expecting maybe a little lurk back up from Karmine Corp there. And this fight, Navera versus CNED, was potentially the game because of how low Xiao was as well. But CNED wins it out, and then ultimately Xiao will get this final kill on XMS. And Navi would win the game 13-11. However, this was a big improvement from Karmine Corp. This gave me some hope that, you know, not all is going to be absolutely lost. Will they make playoffs? Probably not, right? Will things be terrible all the time? Either though, no. This was a big improvement. And I really enjoyed watching this game, and this team is just, it's just amazing to watch this team, to be honest, because they do everything to surprise you.